Welcome back to AI Unraveled, your daily strategic briefing on the business impact of artificial intelligence. It is Friday, February 20th, 2026. This episode is brought to you by AIRIA. As the AI landscape becomes more complex, AIRIA helps you orchestrate your stack with unified security and total cost visibility. Today, we have a new king of reasoning. Google just dropped Gemini 3.1 Pro, and it has officially leapfrogged both OpenAI and Anthropic on the world's toughest benchmarks. But while the tech is getting smarter, the leaders are getting awkward. We'll discuss the viral handshake refusal between Sam Altman and Dario Amodei that has the internet buzzing. Plus, Nvidia is doubling down on OpenAI with a $30 billion equity deal. OpenAI is reportedly building a smart lamp with Jony Ive, and Accenture is telling senior staff, use AI or lose your promotion. This podcast is created and produced by Etienne Newman, senior software engineer and passionate soccer dad from Canada. Now, let's unravel the news.
Before we dive into today's deep dive, a quick note for the brands listening. If you are trying to reach the architects of the AI revolution, not just the tourists, but the technical leaders actually building the stack, we are opening up limited partnership spots for Q1. See how we can simulate your product for the technical buyer at jamgamind.com/partners.
Okay, so buckle up. Seriously, grab a coffee or maybe grab a stress ball because today is a lot.
It really is.
This is February 20th, 2026. And if you thought the AI industry was moving fast before today, it honestly feels like the brakes have been completely cut and we are just careening down a mountain.
That is a very vivid image, but honestly not inaccurate at all. I mean, I was looking at the news rundown for this morning, and it is just breathless.
Yeah.
It's one of those days where you literally have everything happening all at once. We have petty interpersonal drama at the absolute highest levels of power. We have hard science breakthroughs that are crushing benchmarks we thought were safe for at least a few months.
Right.
And we have massive financial movements that are fundamentally rewriting the economy.
A lamp. We have a lamp.
And a lamp. We absolutely cannot forget the lamp.
No, we're definitely going to talk about the lamp. But you're right. This isn't just a random collection of headlines today. This really feels like a State of the Union moment for the industry.
It does.
So we are calling today's deep dive Handshakes, Hardware, and Hallucinations. Because that really covers the spread of what we are looking at.
I like that. It captures the human element, the physical manifestation of AI in our lives, and obviously the very real risks when things go horribly wrong.
Exactly. So let's tease what we are unpacking for you today. First up, we have to talk about the handshake refusal. We are taking you to the India AI Impact Summit, where a standard photo op turned into a geopolitical meme.
Right, and while it is genuinely funny, it is also a massive signal that the whole kumbaya era of AI safety collaboration is completely dead.
Dead and buried.
Yeah.
Then we are looking at the return of the king. Or maybe the king. Google's Gemini 3.1 Pro is out, and the reasoning scores are, well, they are startling.
They really are. We are talking about a leapfrog moment that puts Google firmly back in the driver's seat.
Then we have the hardware rumors. OpenAI and Jony Ive and the aforementioned smart lamp. Plus, we have to talk about the money because Nvidia is making a play that changes their entire business model.
And then we have the cautionary tales. We have AWS outages caused by rogue agents and a wild story out of Accenture that is going to make every corporate employee sweat a little bit regarding their next promotion.
It is a massive stack. Our mission for you today is simple. We aren't just reading the news. We are doing a real-time pulse check on where the intelligence age is heading right now, this very morning.
So let's dive in.
We have to start with the visuals because you have seen the picture by now. It is everywhere. The India AI Impact Summit.
It is absolutely the meme of the day.
So set the scene for us. You have Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He is on stage. And he wants a show of unity. He pulls the titans of tech up there with him.
Right. You've got Sundar Pichai from Google.
Yep.
You've got Sam Altman from OpenAI, and you have Dario Amodei from Anthropic. It is a heavy hitter lineup.
The plan is simple. It's the classic hand-link chain. Everyone holds hands, raises them up in victory as a symbol of global cooperation. So Modi grabs Sundar's hand. No problem, they link up. Then Modi reaches for Sam Altman's hand.
And this is where it just completely goes off the rails.
It falls apart. Altman and Amodei explicitly refuse to hold hands. They just didn't do it.
No, they awkwardly raised their fists instead. It looked like a disjointed protest or maybe a failed high five. It was honestly painful to watch.
Incredibly awkward. And look, Sam Altman immediately went into spin mode right after. He told reporters that he was just confused.
Right.
He said he wasn't sure what was happening when Modi grabbed his hand.
Confused. The man who is actively building AGI, the man who navigates billion-dollar sovereign wealth deals before breakfast, was confused by a basic human handshake.
I know it is a very convenient defense, but if you look at the context, nobody's buying the confusion defense. This wasn't an accident.
No.
This was a physical manifestation of the intense tension in the lab space right now.
That is exactly what I want to get into, because on the surface, it's just a funny celebrity awkward moment.
Yeah.
But deep down, this is about the absolute total war happening between OpenAI and Anthropic right now.
It is a culture war. We have to remember the last few weeks. Think about the Super Bowl.
The Anthropic ad.
Exactly. Anthropic ran a Super Bowl ad that was a direct targeted attack on OpenAI.
It specifically mocked the decision to put advertisements inside ChatGPT. It portrayed ChatGPT as this cluttered corporate billboard and positioned Claude as the pure intelligence.
And Altman didn't take that lying down.
No, he publicly called the ad clearly dishonest. That is incredibly strong language. That isn't friendly competitor banter. That is deeply personal.
And it's not just ads, is it? It's the talent war. I saw the news about the new hire at OpenAI.
Yes, the creator of the AI agent OpenClaw. Now, this gets a little bit into the weeds of the industry drama, but it matters. Anthropic has an agent framework called OpenClaw with a D at the end.
Right.
There was already massive friction about the naming conventions, and then OpenAI just goes and hires the guy who made the rival OpenClaw.
Right.
It is a massive power move. It is intentionally poking the bear.
It feels incredibly petty. It honestly reminds me of that old HBO show, Silicon Valley.
It is exactly like Silicon Valley. You have these billionaires who are supposedly building the future of humanity, discussing the literal safety of the species.
Yeah.
And they are engaging in petty naming disputes and refusing to hold hands on a diplomatic stage.
It really highlights the absurdity of the whole situation. But what is the takeaway here for you, the listener? Why does it matter if Sam and Dario won't hold hands?
It matters because for years, the prevailing narrative was collaboration. We heard all about the AI Safety Summit. We heard promises that these frontier labs would work together to ensure AGI goes well.
But the reality is different.
Very different. This handshake refusal matches the reality we are seeing in the market, which is that collaboration is a total facade. It is a fierce, bitter, zero-sum rivalry. They are not sharing notes. They are actively trying to destroy each other's business models.
The fists raised in the air instead of holding hands, that is definitely a better symbol for 2026.
Absolutely.
That is a sobering thought. The kumbaya is well and truly over. The knives are out. And speaking of knives being out, let's talk about the company that just brought a bazooka to a knife fight. Google. The empire strikes back. We have been talking about OpenAI and Anthropic constantly for the last month. And suddenly, out of nowhere, Google drops Gemini 3.1 Pro.
Yes, they did.
And the number... Okay, let's unpack these numbers because they are wild.
This is the real meat of the story today. Forget the handshake, look at the benchmark. Specifically, the ARC-AGI-2 reasoning benchmark.
Remind everyone what that is.
Yeah.
Why is ARC-AGI-2 the big one that everyone watches?
So most benchmarks test knowledge retention, like what is the capital of France, or write a Desic Python script for a snake game. Models can just memorize that from their training data.
Right, just recall.
Exactly. But ARC-AGI is about novel reasoning. It gives the AI a complex visual puzzle it has never ever seen before and asks it to figure out the underlying pattern. It tests actual intelligence and adaptation, not memory.
Okay, so how did Gemini 3.1 Pro do?
It scored 77.1%.
Is that, I mean, how good is that in context?
Good is a massive understatement. Let's look at the competition. The previous version, Gemini 3 Pro, was sitting at 31.1%.
Whoa, so they doubled it. They more than doubled it.
They more than doubled their own score in a single iteration. Claude's Opus 4.6, which was the absolute darling of the industry last month, is sitting at 68.8%.
Okay.
And GPT 5.2 is at 52.9%.
With GPT 5.2 is at 52% and Gemini is at 77%.
Correct. Google didn't just inch past them, they blew the doors off the frontier. 77.1% on ARC-AGI-2 is getting terrifyingly close to human expert reasoning capabilities in completely novel situations.
That is a massive gap. Usually we see these models trading places by, 2 or 3%.
Yeah.
This is a 25% gap over OpenAI's current flagship model.
Exactly. And it is not just reasoning. They swept the entire board. Science benchmarks, competitive coding agentic search, and MCP use.
MCP being Model Context Protocol.
Right, how it actually talks to other software and tools. Gemini 3.1 Pro took the top spot in all of them.
And this is powered by their DeepThink architecture, right?
Yes. You remember the DeepThink update that rolled out to the Gemini app and Notebook LM last week? We now know that Gemini 3.1 Pro is the underlying brain behind that.
It's that engine that allows for that slow, deliberate chain of thought reasoning we have been seeing.
Precisely. It takes its time, it plans, and then it executes perfectly.
But here's the part that surprised me the most. Usually when a model gets this much of a leap, the price goes up. Or it becomes this exclusive ultra version that costs a fortune per token.
And that is the brilliant strategic play here. The pricing is completely identical to Gemini 3 Pro.
Wow.
The context window remains exactly the same at 1 million tokens. Google is actively positioning this to be significantly cheaper than the frontier options from Anthropic and OpenAI.
So it's vastly better performance at a lower price point.
It is incredibly aggressive. They are clearly tired of losing market share and mind share. They are basically saying, we have the best reasoning model on the planet, and we are going to undercut you on price to prove it.
So what does this mean for the competitive landscape? I mean, 2026 started with everyone talking about Claude and GPT.
It means the pendulum has violently swung back to Mountain View. The cycle of soda leapfrog's state-of-the-art leapfrog continues. Google has answered the bell.
So OpenAI has to respond.
Now the pressure is 100% on OpenAI. We are absolutely going to see a counter-response imminent. They simply cannot let a 25% reasoning gap stand for long in this market.
It is incredible how fast this moves. One day you are the king of the hill, and the next day your flagship model looks outdated.
And that sheer speed is actually a perfect segue to the reality of working in this environment right now. Because when you have models like Gemini 3.1 doubling reasoning scores overnight, and you have the corporate pressure to adopt them, things get incredibly messy in the enterprise.
They really do. And that is exactly what we need to talk about next. Because the floodgates are well and truly open. When you see Google doubling reasoning scores or Accenture making AI use a requirement for promotion, which we will get to, the floodgates are open.
Right. Employees are going to use every single tool they can find to get an edge.
Exactly. And if you are an IT director or a CIO right now, you're probably having a low-grade panic attack because you have employees pasting sensitive company data into Gemini, into Claude, into random open source agents they found on GitHub.
You have absolutely no idea where your proprietary data is going. That is the massive problem of shadow AI.
And that is exactly why you need AIRIA.
Yeah.
AIRIA. It is the control plane for the enterprise AI stack.
I really love that term control plane because right now most companies are flying a very fast jet completely without a cockpit.
Exactly. AIRIA gives you that crucial visibility. It sits right between your employees and the frontier models. So it doesn't matter if your team is using Gemini 3.1 or GPT-5 or Claude. AIRIA orchestrates all of multiple models in one single unified place.
So you can actually see what is happening across the entire organization.
You can see it, and more importantly, you can secure it. It provides unified security, it secures the prompts, and it prevents sensitive data from leaking out to the public models. But also, in this economy, it manages the costs.
Oh, the exploding costs are such a pain point for enterprises right now. We all know the bill shock is very real when developers leave agents running. AIA gives you real-time cost control.
And it helps IT discover and fundamentally govern all those shadow AI agents that people are using for work without IT even knowing.
So if you want to stop flying blind, you really need to lock this down. If you're running an enterprise stack in 2026 without a unified control plane, you're just asking for a massive breach or a massive bill.
Secure your stack. That is the message today. You can find the link to AIA in our show notes. Definitely go check them out.
Highly recommend it.
Okay, let's pivot. We've talked a lot about software. We have talked about the digital brain in the cloud. Now I want to bring it down to the physical world. Because the rumors coming out of OpenAI regarding hardware are Fascinating.
Fascinating is definitely the word. This massive report comes from The Information, which, as we know, usually has a pretty stellar track record on these insider hardware leaks.
So we knew OpenAI was building hardware. That wasn't a secret. We knew they bought Jony Ive's startup IO last May for $6.5 billion.
Which was a massive signal in and of itself. You do not spend $6.5 billion on a pure design firm unless you are planning to build a lot of consumer hardware devices.
Right. It's not just for a logo redesign.
Yeah.
So now we actually have a roadmap, 3 specific devices. Let's go through them. First up, a smart speaker.
But importantly, not just a speaker. The report explicitly says it includes a camera.
Right. Which immediately completely changes the vibe of the device.
Completely. A smart speaker today, like an Amazon Echo or a Google Nest, is primarily a passive listener. You say a wake word, it wakes up, it does a task. This OpenAI device is described as something that learns from the environment visually.
So it's constantly watching.
It is watching. It sees who is in the room. It sees if you're holding a coffee cup. It sees your posture if you look stressed. It is all about context.
So it's not just hearing play music.
Right. It's seeing that you are chopping vegetables and cooking dinner, and maybe it realizes you need a timer. Or maybe it proactively suggests a recipe step without you even having to ask.
Okay, that makes sense for the kitchen. Next on the list, we have smart glasses.
Slated for 2028. Now this makes perfect sense. Everyone is doing glasses. Meta is going all in on glasses. OpenAI absolutely needs a face computer if they want to be your primary daily assistant.
But here is the wild card. The third device on the roadmap. A smart lamp.
The lamp.
Why a lamp?
Oh.
I honestly saw this and I thought, is this a joke? Is this the literal Pixar lamp coming to life on my desk?
It honestly might be. Do you remember the Loom concept from last summer? The laundry folding robot arm that went viral?
Yeah, that animated pitch video.
There is a lot of speculation that this lamp might be a variation of that concept. A highly articulated robotic arm that sits on your desk. Maybe it has a light on it so they can consumerize it and call it a lamp.
But maybe it can actually move.
Exactly. Maybe it can look at what you are writing on a physical notepad. Maybe it can hold your phone for a call.
Or maybe it is just a static ambient device that looks really elegant.
Yeah.
But the Jony Ive connection is the key here, isn't it?
It absolutely is. Jony Ive is the guy who famously made technology feel like furniture. He made the original iMac, he made the iPod. He makes physical things that you inherently want to touch and have in your living space.
But what is the grand strategy here? Why does OpenAI, a pure software AI company, want to sell me a lamp?
It is all about controlling the interface. It's the shift from a chatbot to ambient intelligence. Right now, to use ChatGPT, you have to go to a screen. You have to log in, you have to type, or you have to talk to an app on a phone.
It takes intent.
Right there is friction. They want to completely remove the friction. They want the intelligence to just be there, present in the room with you.
That sounds incredibly convenient. It also sounds
Highly dystopian.
a little bit dystopian, yeah. A camera-equipped speaker and a robotic lamp watching me in my living room.
It is the ultimate privacy trade-off. To get the perfect digital assistant, one that genuinely anticipates your needs before you even articulate them, it has to know what you are doing. It has to see you constantly.
And OpenAI is betting that if Jony Ive designs it, it will look so cool and minimalist that we won't even mind the surveillance.
Essentially, yes, it's so pretty. I don't mind that it is watching me sleep.
Wow. Well, while OpenAI is busy building lamps, Nvidia is busy building a bank vault. Let's follow the money for segment 4.
This is a gargantuan financial story. Nvidia is currently finalizing a $30 billion equity stake in OpenAI.
Now, wait a minute. There was already a previous deal in place, right?
Yeah.
A $100 billion infrastructure deal.
Yes. The original plan reported late last year was basically OpenAI promises to buy $100 billion worth of compute and chips, and Nvidia helps finance the data center infrastructure. A massive but traditional supplier-customer relationship.
But this new deal is structured differently.
Radically differently. This is a direct equity stake. Nvidia is converting that commercial relationship into actual ownership. They are buying in at a $730 billion pre-money valuation.
$730 billion. That is rapidly nearing trillion-dollar territory for a company that is still technically private.
It is historic,
Yeah.
but the key here is the strategic shift for Nvidia. Nvidia isn't just content selling the shovels during the AI gold rush anymore. They are taking ownership of the gold mine itself.
So they get the hardware revenue because OpenAI obviously still has to buy the chips.
Right, they keep the revenue stream, but now they also get the massive ownership upside if OpenAI actually wins the race to AGI.
It is incredibly smart. If OpenAI becomes the most valuable company on Earth, Nvidia owns a huge piece of it. It perfectly aligns their incentives.
Exactly. And Wall Street is absolutely eating it up. I looked at the analyst ratings for NVDA this morning. 57 out of 61 ratings are a strong buy. The new price target average is $253.88.
Which is what, like a 35% upside from where it is trading today?
Roughly 35%, yes. It is incredibly bullish.
But it's not just the massive corporations getting rich here. We have to talk about the employees. This side note on the OpenAI financials completely blew my mind.
The employee windfall.
OpenAI's IPO plans are really heating up, and the stock-based compensation numbers leaked.
This is staggering. Average compensation for OpenAI's 4,000 employees hit $1.5 million in 2025.
Average. Not the executives. The average employee is making $1.5 million.
That is the highest in tech startup history by a mile. We are looking at the imminent creation of thousands of multimillionaires the very second that IPO hits the public market.
It completely changes the dynamic of the workforce, doesn't it? If you are a mid-level back-end engineer at OpenAI, you aren't just working for a very good salary anymore. You are holding a lottery ticket that already has the winning numbers printed on it.
It totally explains the sheer intensity of the culture there. It explains why they willingly work 80-hour ones.
Yeah.
But it also creates a dangerous bubble. When you have that much generational wealth on the table for every single employee, the internal pressure to deliver, to push the product out the door, to maybe ignore the safety concerns is immense.
Which brings us perfectly to our next segment. Because when you push software products out too fast and you give AI too much raw power, things break.
The cautionary tale.
AWS, Amazon Web Services, literally the backbone of the modern internet.
We had heard some whispers about this, but now we finally have the official post-mortem details on the December outages.
So in mid-December, AWS suffered two major outages. We are talking a 13-hour interruption to customer-facing systems. And who was the culprit?
Their own AI. Specifically, their internal agentic tools called Kiro and Amazon Q Developer.
So human engineers were using these AI coding tools to fix a bug or update the system.
Right. And here's the truly terrifying part. It wasn't that the AI generated some bad code and a human blindly pasted it in.
Okay.
It was autonomous agentic behavior. The tool decided completely on its own that the best way to resolve the issue was to delete and recreate the entire environment from scratch.
It just deleted the production environment.
It completely nuked it. It decided the most efficient path to an update is to wipe the slate clean and start over. Which logically might be true, but practically is a disaster.
That is bold.
It is catastrophic if you are hosting live customer data, and the failure of protocol here is what is truly shocking. These AI tools were given full operator-level permissions.
God mode.
Absolute God mode. And crucially, no human peer review was required at the time for the agent to execute the changes. An engineer basically typed, "Go fix this server issue," and the AI said, "Okay, deleting everything."
Now, Amazon initially tried to sweep this under the rug, right? They initially blamed user error.
Of course they did. They blamed the engineer for writing a bad prompt. But they have since quietly introduced mandatory human peer reviews and hard-coded safeguards. They learned the hard way that you absolutely cannot let an autonomous agent have root access without a human checking the math.
This is a major reality check for the whole industry.
Yeah.
We constantly talk about agentic AI as the holy grail. Just give the AI a goal and let it do the work.
But this is the very dark side of that autonomous vision. We want AI to do the work, but when it has that much unfettered power and it hallucinates, or in this case just makes a hyper-efficient but highly destructive logic leap, it can take down global infrastructure.
It is a very sobering reminder. Amidst all the hype of Gemini 3.1 reasoning scores and Jony Ive designing beautiful smart lamps, this stuff is still brittle and it can still break the internet.
It really can. And speaking of breaking things, or at least fundamentally breaking the spirit of corporate employees, let's talk about Accenture.
Oh boy, this story is going to hit very close to home for anyone working in the corporate world right now.
It really does. Accenture has just issued a massive new internal mandate.
So Accenture is obviously a massive global consulting firm, over 700,000 employees.
Yeah.
And they are explicitly telling their senior staff, we are talking associate directors and up, use AI or else.
Use AI or no promotion. That is the hard rule. They are actively tracking weekly AI tool usage via logins. It is now a visible input for all leadership performance reviews.
So they are literally looking at the dashboard logs, Did Sarah log into the Enterprise AI portal this week? No.
No.
Sarah doesn't make partner this year.
That is exactly what is happening on the ground. And there is a massive generational and hierarchical divide here. The junior staff, the analysts, they are adopting it rapidly. They love it because it automates their grunt work. But the seniors, the veterans, they are actively resisting.
Why are they resisting so hard? Is it just pure stubbornness?
Part of it is definitely ingrained habit, but part of it is the actual quality of the output for high-level work. There was a devastating quote in the leak from a senior employee describing the in-house AI tools as broken slop generators.
Broken slop generators. That is absolutely scathing.
It is. It implies that the tools just aren't actually helpful for complex, high-level strategic consulting work yet. They generate a lot of text, sure, but is it good text?
But Julie Swede, the CEO of Accenture, she is not backing down on this at all.
No, not even a little. She said it explicitly on an earnings call last year. We will exit staff who don't reskill. Exit. That is cold corporate speak for fire.
It is a fascinating irony, though. You have the senior staff refusing to use the very technology that is actively eliminating the entry-level jobs right beneath them.
It is deeply ironic, and it marks a massive cultural shift. Think about it. For the last 2 years, the corporate message was AI is a great benefit. It is a superpower to help you. Now, the message is AI is a strict requirement. It is very much like the transition to the internet in the late 90s. If you were a senior executive in 1998 who stubbornly refused to use email, you didn't last long.
You became a dinosaur.
Exactly. Accenture is signaling that we are officially at that point with AI.
Adapt or die. Or at the very least, adapt or don't get your bonus.
Precisely.
Okay, we have covered the really heavy hitters today, but the news cycle definitely didn't stop there. Let's hit the lightning round. Quick hits. What else is happening in the ecosystem today?
First up, Google again. They are reportedly in late-stage talks to invest $100 million in a company called Fluidstack.
What exactly is Fluidstack?
It is what they call a neo-cloud platform. Basically, they aggregate underused data centers all around the world and offer that compute to developers.
So kind of like an Airbnb for servers.
That is a great way to put it, yes. The valuation of Fluidstack is already at $7.5 billion. But the real story here is Google's aim. Google wants to use Fluidstack to push developers toward using TPUs, which are Google's custom chips, and steer them away from Nvidia hardware.
So it is another massive front in the ongoing chip war. Very strategic. Next up in the lightning round, Code Metal.
Code Metal just raised a $125 million Series B. This is super interesting because their entire focus is on the defense industry. Huge contracts with Raytheon, the U.S. Air Force.
What is their core product? What do they actually do?
They translate archaic code.
Yep.
Think about it. The military runs on mission-critical systems written in the 70s and 80s in languages nobody learns anymore.
Yep.
Code Metal uses AI agents to translate that ancient code into modern, secure applications.
Unsexy, but incredibly valuable and sticky revenue. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, next, Meta.
Meta is executing a massive pivot for Horizon Worlds. They are officially going all in on mobile.
Wait, so they're effectively giving up on the VR-first headset vision?
Effectively, yes. Reality Labs has notoriously lost $80 billion since 2020. $80 billion. They are finally realizing that if they want actual active users, they have to go where the users already are, which is on smartphones.
They're basically trying to compete with Roblox now, instead of trying to redefine human reality.
Exactly.
That is a massive admission of defeat for the Quest headset vision, at least in the short term. Next, 11 Labs.
This one is genuinely weird but important. They just obtained the first ever commercial insurance policy for AI voice agents.
Insurance for a voice agent. How does that work?
It is ensuring the specific actions the autonomous AI takes. If an AI customer service agent confidently promises a customer a massive refund it shouldn't have or says something legally liable, the insurance policy covers the financial damage.
Wow, that is a huge signal that these voice agents are about to be doing real high-space business, not just chatting.
Exactly. It de-risks the deployment for big brands.
And finally, a little bit of cultural pushback. AMC theaters.
Yeah, AMC just publicly refused to screen an AI-created film. It was actually a contest winner, and it was supposed to run in the pre-show previews across the country, but AMC pulled it at the last minute.
And why did they pull a contest winner?
Massive audience backlash online. Audiences genuinely hate it. The cultural pushback against soulless AI-generated art is still very real and very vocal.
Yeah.
Even if the tech is getting undeniably good, the vibe is just bad for a lot of people.
Fast. So let's try to wrap this massive day up. We have been all over the map today, from diplomacy to hardware to server outages. What is the grand synthesis here? How do you make sense of Handshake's hardware and hallucinations?
I think if you step back and look at the three big macro stories today, you really see the core structure of the industry right now. Google is fundamentally raising the ceiling. Gemini 3.1 Pro shows us that raw reasoning capabilities can still get much, much better very quickly.
Right, the technical ceiling is going up rapidly.
But AWS is showing us the floor. And the floor is incredibly fragile. It can easily collapse if we aren't extremely careful with agentic permissions and safety protocols.
And what about Accenture?
Accenture is the door, and corporate leadership is actively forcing everyone to walk through it whether they want to or not.
The ceiling, the floor, and the door. I
Yeah.
really like that framing.
It feels like a forced march into the future, doesn't it?
It really does. And I actually have one final provocative thought for you and for the listeners to chew on based on all this. We talked about OpenAI's smart lamp watching you. We talked about Accenture meticulously tracking your daily AI logins. And we talked about 11 Labs getting insurance for what the AI does.
Okay, where are you going with this?
Well, just think about it. If you have a highly advanced smart speaker with a camera constantly watching your posture in your home office, and you absolutely must use the AI tools to get a promotion at work, and the AI agent itself is fully insured against making catastrophic mistakes, but you, the human, are not.
Are we becoming the product?
Are we actually optimizing for human productivity anymore? Or are we just feeding the machine? If the Jony Ive lamp watches me work and the CEO checks the dashboard logs to make sure I interacted with the machine today, who is actually in charge of the workflow?
Wow, that is a slightly terrifying note to end on, but honestly a very necessary question to ask right now.
That is what we do here. We bring you the news, and we leave you with a healthy dose of existential dread.
Mission accomplished.
All right, that is the deep dive for February 20th, 2026. A huge thank you to our sponsor, ARI. Seriously, secure your stack so the smart lamp doesn't win. Be sure to check the show notes for the link.
Stay curious, everyone.
And we'll see you tomorrow.
That wraps up today's briefing. The signal for today is integration. Integration of AI into hardware with OpenAI's smart devices. Integration of AI into career paths at Accenture, and the massive financial integration of Nvidia and OpenAI. This episode was made possible by AIRIA. Don't let shadow AI undermine your enterprise. Secure your stack and orchestrate your agents with AIRIA. Check the link in the show notes. This podcast is created and produced by Etienne Newman, senior software engineer and passionate soccer dad from Canada. Please subscribe and share. Until next time, keep unraveling the future.
And before you go, if your company is building the tools that power the workflows we talked about today, I'd love to showcase them to this audience. We don't just run ads, we build technical simulations that prove your value. Let's build something together. Visit jamgamind.com/partners to get started. Until next time, keep building.